Díomh agus bhfuair géad míle fáilte anseo inniu. Hello, you're all very welcome. I'm Pádraigín Clancy, the parish pastor worker at St Michael's Church, Inchicore, Dublin. Let us begin today with the prayer from the Scots Gaelic tradition, one that's in translation from Scots Gaelic, and it gives thanks for very simple thanks filled with gratitude for the lives that we have. Thanks to thee, O gentle Christ, that you have raised me from the black and the dark of last night to the kindly light of this day. Thanks to thee, O God, that I have risen this day to the rising of this life itself. May it be to your own glory, O God of every gift, and to the glory of my heart and soul likewise. A prayer that immediately recognises that life is conferred upon us, and gratitude for that conferring, and that also longs that we may glorify our God with our lives in what we do and what we say. And speaking of glorifying God with our daily lives or in our daily lives, you cannot go beyond the man whose feast day it is today. Saint Aidan of Lindisfarne died, as the Irish annals tell us, on the 31st of August in 651. Aidan is said to have been of Irish descent. Some say he was born in Monaghan and was Bishop of Clogher in Ireland before he went over to Iona and joined the monastic community there, that famous holy island off the coast of Scotland, which was founded by St Columba or St Columkill. And during his time there, he met with a man called Oswald, and Oswald was from Northumbria. And as those of you watching from Britain will know, Oswald was in exile and had been dispossessed of his kingship. And he became a Christian and trained in the Christian monastic tradition when he was in Iona and met Aidan. So when Oswald eventually regained the throne, he invited Aidan to join him and to found a monastery at Lindisfarne. And those of you, most of us are familiar with Lindisfarne in that we don't recognise it immediately, but we know it from films. Beautiful holy island out a causeway into the sea off the east coast of England. And it rises like a holy mountain into the sky and raises up your thoughts and minds to God. And it became a monastic foundation, a centre of learning. Aidan, we're told, is a great teacher, became a centre of learning. Many monks who trained there went out across Britain, bringing the gospel across England especially. And we know as well that it also contained women, and we know that St Hilda spent time there and was a good friend of St Aidan before she founded her monastery at Whitby. So Aidan Bede tells us in his great history of Britain, Bede says about Saint Aidan, he says he was a man of outstanding gentleness, goodness, devotion and moderation. A man of outstanding gentleness, goodness, devotion and moderation. And today's gospel, in a sense, with Luke speaking about Jesus, tells us what Jesus said as he was teaching in the synagogue. And Jesus says to us today in today's gospel, "The Spirit of the Lord has been given to me, for he has anointed me. He has sent me to bring the good news to the poor, to proclaim liberty to captives, and to the blind new sight, to set the downtrodden free, to proclaim the Lord's year of favour." And in a sense, just like Aidan, the invitation of our baptism is to be filled with the Spirit. And we don't, as St Paul tells us in today's first reading as well, we don't preach Christ. Christ preaches through us. We bring Christ. Christ acts through us as we reach to people. We don't do it on ourselves alone. And we preach Christ crucified. In other words, we preach the resurrection. As Pope Francis says, let's not go around with funerial faces. Let's look and let's act like as if the resurrection happened. So today is a day of hope. Today we embrace the hope of the resurrection in a new way as we remember Saint Aidan and his hope as he went and brought the gospel from Iona down to Lindisfarne out across Britain. So maybe just to pause for a minute now this morning And let's bring anybody present who we feel we'd like to hold in the light. We hold the hope for one another. Anyone we know caught in sadness, heartbreak, illness, poverty, addiction. I'm also aware today, seeing as how the Oblate province is written in Ireland, that today is the 23rd anniversary of Princess Diana's death. She died on August the 31st. And I happened to be in England at the time when that happened, and I will never forget the incredible outpouring of grief among the people, but also not just in Britain, but all across the world. And in a sense, when we talk about goodness, Diana was young and she represented that youthful goodness, that goodness of youth, especially that hope in some of the great work that she did, the charity work that she did. And interestingly enough, her mother actually was living in Iona at the time of Diana's death. And her mother was inspired by the story of Columba and Aidan and the early Christian church in Britain. So it's an interesting link with Saint Aidan's feast day. So maybe our call is to bring the goodness on each day into day, goodness to others, goodness into our own lives, and to make a conscious decision to pray for goodness and to be that the Spirit will speak and will act through us each day as we go about our work. So I would like to finish then with a prayer from David Adams. Now, David Adams is a rector who spent 13 years as rector in Lindisfarne, carrying on that monastic tradition, or that tradition of retreat on that holy island. And David Adams writes, "Lord, open my eyes to the newness of this day. Lord, open my eyes clouded with night. Lord, open my eyes misted with prejudice. Lord, open my eyes to the beauty of creation. Lord, open my eyes dimmed with heartbreak and sorrow. Lord, open my eyes closed through fear. Lord, make me aware. Lord, help me to be more sensitive. Lord, increase my appreciation. Lord, open my eyes to a vision of your glory. Lord, open my eyes to your presence within me." May God bless you today and every day. Anach Day Orav. Amen.